Drake, Arizona State is a unique program. Picked dead last year in the league, wins the league. I think they got hosed in the whole play. Yeah. I know you've probably rehashed that 375
million,
times.
Yeah.
But they've got a quarterback that's an NFL player in the future. They've got people all around. I mean, that's a big city in Phoenix, growing city. Give me your pitch on why Arizona State over the next 5 years is the most dominant Big 12 program.
Well, if that's the statement, and I have to qualify that, in a court of law, they say, hey, Arizona State dominates the next 5 years, I can absolutely back it up. I was there 2 weeks ago at the Waste Management Golf Tournament, and there's so many of these, Sun Devil shirts on. That's the first thing I bring up. And people will probably be ticked off that, the first thing it brings up, weather, dog. February, January in Scottsdale, in Tempe, in Phoenix.
Yeah.
It is spectacular. And again, you're going to have guys who visit Ann Arbor, Michigan. You'll have guys that go on a visit. And even I love Tallahassee, Florida. But then when you find out, wait a second, I'm in Florida and I'm that far from the beach. Why don't there's such an appeal and a draw to being comfortable. And there's a reason spring training is in states like Florida or in Phoenix. So that's the number one thing you have over a whole lot of schools there, right? And even some Big 12 comparisons, Ames, Iowa, or Morgantown. They're great college towns, but they don't offer you the atmosphere that a Tempe does. And past that, NIL commitment and commitment to filling the gaps in recruiting. My favorite schools are not the ones that bring in 30 guys in the transfer portal. In fact, those are my least favorite. My favorite are the ones that bring in 8, 12, 13 that are the right guys. And the schools that lose 8, 12, 13. Positive attrition. The guys who did not fit are now gone. The guys that we want to win with are now here. Arizona State has figured that out. And then past that, Kenny Dillingham is an ultimate developer of transfer portal talent. Hey, come from the FCS ranks. Cam Scatteraboo, Sacramento State. Come from D2. I will, in one off season, in one full season, mold you to become what we need to win. Come from the high school ranks, be 18. Know that Xavier Gilroy, you'll be redshirted. Gilroy comes in and replaces Jordan Tyson, their best wide receiver in the Big 12 championship game, and stepped up huge to dominate and blow out that game. He will take, from high school to transfer portal, players who have already been developed possibly earlier in college football and turn them into new human beings. He is arguably the best football coach in the Big 12, taking 16 to 1, the X's, the O's, the development. He kept his OC and his DC. Kenny Dillingham is dangerous. We know the university has the city behind it. We know they have the NIL that's building. We know the recruits and the horses are already in the stable. They won a lot last year, went toe-to-toe with Texas, and that last domino to fall is Kenny Dillingham being a damn good football coach. That's dangerous.
I 100% agree, and I think it's good for college football. They've been a sleeping giant for a very, very long time. Here's my next question on the opposite end of that. We've talked a lot about certain schools probably having a bit of an advantage as it relates to, let's say, not just NIL, but like the commitment to football, like at BYU. Like it matters there.
Yeah.
It matters at Iowa State and Kansas State too, but they don't have oil money. And it's a different kind of game. How do those schools, I mean, they're going to be good, I think, this next year, both of them, ironically. But now that NIL is really starting to get, how do they survive long-term, not just middle of the pack, but compete for the Big 12 title?
Coaching and development. And that seems like a cop-out answer, but I'm going to go back to Texas A&M. For A&M, for the last 10 years, they've been in the top 5, top 10 recruiting rankings, and they haven't had coaching and development. You look at a school, there are a couple, like a Texas Tech is not always, and very seldom actually in the top 25 in recruiting, but Joey McGuire has a way. Like, hey, we had the 31st best recruiting class in the country this year. We're going to find a way to win with it. TCU a couple of years ago, Sonny Dykes. Like that was specifically coaching. How do we take the guys we have and win with them? How do we take this 2-star left tackle from North High School in Des Moines, Iowa, and win with that guy as our starter? Somehow, Matt Campbell finds a way. He's one of the best football coaches. And there's a reason NFL teams, and other major schools in the Big Ten call after him every offseason because they don't know. He's a magician. No one else has ever won at Iowa State. How is he doing it? Kansas State was the original Kansas. They still barely have an above 500 all-time record because prior to Bill Snyder, they couldn't win a game. They couldn't buy a win in Manhattan. And then Snyder comes in and proves, hey, good old-fashioned coaching will win. Chris Kleiman, North Dakota State, doing the same thing. Hey, we know at North Dakota State we're not getting the same guys as Alabama or Ohio State. We're just going to have to do things differently to bring guys to a school like North Dakota State and win. That translates to Kansas State. It translates to Manhattan. That's how you do it. You do it with savvy coaching, not with recruiting, because they haven't yet. Neither of those schools have had top 30, top 25, top 20 recruiting classes consistently. They've used positive attrition, development, and good coaching. So I'm going to go on the portal and say that those schools can basically keep recruiting at the level they are because that's what's working for them. They've got locker room buy-in guys. Stay off TikTok. Stay off asking me for $1 million in NIL. Avery Johnson, in-state kid, come to our school, work hard, play day one, win. That's what we ask of you. We're not USC. We're not UCLA. No flair, nothing. We'll have a damn good offensive line. You go do your job wherever you're placed, and that's how they're going to win. They will not have to have top 30 recruiting classes to compete.
I'm going to get you out of here on this one, Drake, just for fun. Again, for those who don't remember, Arizona State was picked dead last in the league last year and won it. That's a little unusual, even for the Big 12, but still. Give me 3 schools to look at as potential favorites this next year in the Big 12.
Well, I'll give you the favorites pretty quickly, and then I want to get to something that I actually feel a bit more passionate about, and those are schools that sucked last year. That'll be a bit better this year. I do think BYU, Arizona State, and Iowa State, Kansas State are kind of interchangeable, can all be counted on to be at the top of the league. I'm going to put those schools up there as ones that I really do value this year in the Big 12. But look at a Houston that could shock a lot of people and win 8 games. Look at a West Virginia that could surprise a lot of people. Again, we talk about positive attrition. They did enough in the transfer portal there late to build a bit around Rich Rodriguez. They could go 4-8. They could also go 8-4, which would surprise a ton of people. Look at UCF. Orlando's a great place to be. I think that could be a couple years. They could be a couple years away, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see them win 8 games next year. And then for an analyst like me who picked Kansas in the Big 12 championship last year, I'm going to ride the Jayhawks again. Don't count Lance Leipold out. That is a guy who has proven he can win at a place that is unwinnable. I think he'll do it again next year. Those are 4 instant contenders and 4 other teams that could really surprise a lot of folks.
Drake, why don't you tell everybody where they can find your work, my friend? Yeah,
at Drake C. Toll on Twitter, at LO Big 12 on that same platform, and wherever you find your podcast with Locked On Big 12.
Man, I appreciate it. You can find the Portal Podcast on the same platforms, Spotify, Apple, and of course on YouTube. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe. We will see you again soon on the Portal.